Hello guys, my name is Tu. In this video I'll be talking about how to use NX software to create a bill of material lease. So let me quickly open the demo file as such. So let me quickly bring you along the hierarchy of the assembly structure by going through the files one by one. For example, when I double click this sub-assembly, it contains no CAD data. The children file contains as such and as such. So we can quickly browse through each of the components here to see which of the components that are relevant for the BOM lease. Now, without further ado, let us quickly create a BOM lease by go to the drafting application. You can choose any of the templates, it's not doesn't matter. Then you turn off the grid if it's turned on. Now click on the parts list button here and we can quickly place the table as such. So this will be the default layout of the part list. Now let's try to include more attributes to the table. For example, I would like to include the weight. So place your cursor near to the corner here until you see a highlight of the entire columns. Do a right click and choose insert a new column to the right side. So this will be a new empty column, and we'll do the same here. Do a left click here and choose the setting buttons and choose column. On the attributes name, we'll click on this button here and choose a default attribute called a $mask. Click OK and click close. So this new column does not have any new values yet. So let's try to do an update. Update the part list. So nothing changed. So let's try to right click one of the components in the assembly navigator. Go to the properties. Go to the weight tab. Check on update data on save. Click on the update buttons and click OK. Now let's try to update the table. Now we have a value here. So for the rest of the values, we can try to do a quick selection by holding down the shift key at the keyboard and choose all the components in one shot and do a right click and do the same thing to check the update button and click on the update button and click OK to get all the values. Now let's try to update the table again. So the table is now filled with all the numbers except for this row number 8 and also row number 4, which is referring to the sub-assembly. Due to the reason sub-assembly does not contain any CAD information and therefore there is a dash allocated here. We can try to reduce the size of the table by not showing the sub-assembly. For example, we can try to right click on the top left corner of the table and choose edit levels. And the corresponding highlighted component is shown inside the table currently. As we click on this leave only button, the two sub-assembly has been left out and the size of the table has been reduced by removing the sub-assembly, which is not relevant, and the information display is currently more practical. So I would hope you notice that the current value of the mass is showing in grams. So if you would like to show the values in kilogram, what you need to do is to apply parameters inside the settings. For example, let's highlight the entire columns. Do a right click, go to the settings. Now let's move on to the cell nodes and choose to check the evaluate cell as formula. Change the increment type to percentage and the increment value as minus 99.9. What this means is all the values here will be deduct 99.9% That means only left with 0.1% of the value. So that means, in other words, this value here will be multiplied with 0.001. You can quickly click on the Enter button here in the keyboard to show the converted values. And due to the reason there is zero decimal places, all we can see is value less than 0 is displayed as 0. What we can try to do here is to increase the decimal place to 3, and we can see more meaningful values. And also we can try to change the delimiters here from comma to period. So to change that setting, you need to set it inside the drafting preference. So go to the File, Preferences, choose Draftings, and from here we need to find a comma, which is the first line will land you onto the correct page. Change the delimiter, decimal delimiter from comma to period. Click OK. And we'll need to refresh the setting at this table. So we need to select, right click and select the settings. Just inherit the settings from the preference dialog box. Click once and the settings of the delimiter is updated. Probably you would like to ask, why is the mask so tiny, whereas the CAD data is showing an engine manifold? So let's quickly go to one of the engine manifold components as such. So this geometry should be very heavy, and we'll need to change some of the settings. For example, we can quickly do a measurement in the Analysis tabs. Click on the Measure Bodies, click on the Geometry, ensure that the associativity is checked here so that this measurement command will be put under the model history tree. And notice the mask is 0.002, which is inaccurate. Probably we will need to choose another material for this geometry. So now let's go ahead and choose the material. Go to the Tools tab, More, and find Assign Material command. Select the geometry and choose a material, for example steel, and assign to it. So now we can quickly refresh the mass measurement. So it's currently showing 21 kilogram, which is more accurate. So now let's quickly try to update the BOM list again by going back to the parents file. So here we'll try to update the table, and nothing changed because we need to update the properties again. So right click the components, properties, no weights data. So we click on this button here to update the data. Refresh the table, and the new value is currently shown here. So probably you would like to rearrange the BOM list. So let's try to put the title above here. So just right click and choose Settings. Select the section. Note the header allocation is at the above. So now the header is above the table. And you can try to change the order of the arrangement by going to the part list, Grow Direction, and choose Down. So this is a more meaningful arrangement. So the last one is probably this column, this cell here. We'll need to put some more relevant information. However, there are some writings which cannot be removed. So probably this is one of the limitations of the default attributes. So what you can do is you can try to create a custom attribute and populate the custom attributes here as well. So for example, let's go to part number 4 which is here, make display part. So for this part, I would like to create a measurement again. For example, analysis, measure the body, ensure the associativity is checked, and select the body. Okay. So this associativity will create an expression. So to show the expression, we need to go to the modeling environment, go to the Tools tab, in the expressions, and choose all expression. You can see due to the associativity of the measurement, we have some measurement here. For example, this component is having this weight. So now let's try to create a custom attribute for this component. Go to right click and choose properties. Instead of using the weight tab, we will go to the attributes tab, and we try to put a name to it. For example, this attribute is called mass, and the data type is number. The dimensionality will be mass. The unit will be kilograms, and the values will be this value. Click OK. Now let's try to display these attributes inside the BOM list. Go back to the parents file, which is in the drafting application. So we need to go back to the drafting application. Click cancel to do not create the views. Now let's try to create a new column. So for this new column, I will need to click the top left corner and choose the setting buttons. Go to the columns node. So we are just repeating what we have learned previously. Go to the attributes name, click on this button here. Previously we have selected this attribute, which is a default attribute by NX. If you would like to select a custom attributes, which is here, so this is the custom attributes which I've created just now, and we can click on this and choose OK. It seems that there is some glitch here. The value is not shown, but not to worry. Probably we can try to toggle some of the settings. So we will need to go back to the settings again. Go back to the settings, and notice that in the cells node, this check is still there, which is not necessary. So we need to uncheck this button here, and everything is back to normal. Unfortunately, this is not a very good example because the value is very tiny and is showing almost 0. But this is how we can include a customized attribute into the BOM list. So I hope everything is clear, and if you have any question, feel free to ask me in the comments below. And if you like this video, be sure to check and subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoy and have a pleasant day.